Now on the air from the state of Florida, where our 45th president temporarily resides until his triumphant return to that big house on Pennsylvania Avenue in 2024. Once again, it's time for the Flagler Trump Club's Future of Flagler podcast. Here are the three patriots who will keep Flagler County red while making America great again. Your host, Trump Club President Mike McElroy, along with Trump Club Vice President and Palm Coast City Councilman Ed Danko, and Trump Club Board Director, better known as the Shadow Mayor of Palm Coast, Allen Lowe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Flagler Trump Club's Future of Flagler video podcast. With me, Mike McElroy, President of the Trump Club. Allen is not with us today. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing well. As you know, I missed our last podcast because I was in Colorado visiting my daughter in the Denver area and my granddaughter and son-in-law.
It's terrific.
So yeah, good to be back, although the weather out there was a little balmy too, unusual, no snow. But I missed a few things.
You did miss a few things.
While I was out of town. I know you love to be in the paper.
Me? I hate being in the newspaper.
If you've listened to us before, you know that Ed loves to be in the paper. And it seems you made the paper again, Ed. What was that all about?
Well, you know, I got an email on my city email account basically saying that there was a mandatory requirement being enforced by the county on the city that you had to tell them your vaccination status. Well, I was suspicious of that email, and so I wanted to check and see if this was real or if this was one of those phishing emails, because, you know, this is Florida. And you don't want to tell your vaccination status. You don't have to tell it. And again, you know, what you do between you and your doctor is up to you. What I do is up to me. And we don't need to be sharing that type of information. And certainly the city has no business trying to collect that information on politicians or employees. But I did get in touch, and I was told that it was spam. But then I wrote back and I said, perhaps we want to make sure that everyone knows this is spam before they click on it. And that's when I discovered this was actually spam that was sent out by the IT department, you know, as a sort of test to see how many people they said, to see how many people would click on it. I thought that was in really poor taste. I thought that was a poor subject to use, considering how divisive these vaccines have been. I didn't think we needed to be telling people that they had to mandatory do anything, even if it's a phishing test, and certainly using the county as the excuse. Our relationship with the county isn't that great to begin with, and we're trying to make it better. So all this did was annoy some commissioners, you know, in the county that we were using them for this test.
Well, I see the county staff made a comment that they would never use that as an IT phishing test. But yes, it's controversial to say the least, and I think you were right. Did you ever find out how that came about, how it was authorized?
Well, from what I understand is our IT department contracts out with a service that comes up with these sort of tests. And so it was one of, you know, many that they do. And either somebody wasn't paying attention or somebody was not sensitive enough or didn't quite understand that this would be controversial. Or, you know, I've had a lot of people contact me saying, you know, that they're really, that wasn't a test. They really are trying to collect this information. I don't work in the IT department, so I really can't answer that question. But it's something they should have stayed away. I don't think they'll go there again. I think, you know, I got enough attention, enough press attention on it. I think they got the message that this was a bad idea.
Yes. And then, of course, a secondary thing that's cropped up is your hunt for the city manager. So you were initially agreed with the mayor and the city council that you all, with a staff-led administration, would look at candidates, look at the resumes, select, each city council person would select candidates they thought had merit and bring them forward.
Right.
It seems that process wasn't good enough.
Well, we got close to 100 applicants, and I went through every resume, and I selected my top 5, as did every other council person. And that was the procedure we agreed on when we started this, that we wouldn't hire an outside firm. They cost money, $30,000, $40,000 to hire an outside firm to do a search, that we would put the ads out there, we would go through the resumes, and then each of us would come back to council with our 5 top picks. We would then, from those 5 top picks, we'd see how many overlapped. We had 6 applicants that overlapped. Jim Manfred got the most overlap. He had 3 votes. We had the rest all got 2 votes from 2 separate council people. So we took those 6 finalists, and the next step was supposed to be interviews. And we told them that we would be interviewing them. They had started preparing for it. But apparently, a couple weeks ago, the mayor first started saying he wasn't happy with the quality of candidates. And then later, earlier this week, or late last week, Councilman Kloufis said that he would be making a motion to abandon this procedure and hire an outside firm. I fully disagree with that. We are down to 3 applicants because 3 other applicants dropped out. They got jobs someplace else. But we're down to 3 people. I wanted to move forward. I wanted to do the interviews. I wanted to see what these folks brought to the table before we looked at another way of doing this. There were some applicants in that process that simply were not qualified, but there were a lot that were. The former mayor of Erie, Pennsylvania, and this is a non-city manager mayorship. This is like a real mayor who runs the day-to-day operation. 2-time mayor of Erie, Pennsylvania. All right, great track record, no scandals, cut taxes, conservative guy. He was one of the applicants. He was one of my 5 picks. No one else picked him, and I was surprised. I was absolutely surprised. There was an Army colonel who commanded a garrison, all right, in Europe, 3 military bases under his command. I would think if you could run 3 Army bases, I would think you could run a little city like Palm Coast. I'm sure his budget and his staff is a lot larger than ours. No one picked him. He was one of my choices. So I tried to make the argument that we do the interviews first, and then if we're not happy, then we could maybe think of expanding this search. But I was outvoted, 3-2. And so we're now going to go out and spend $30,000 or $40,000. They're saying, we're going to keep the present finalists in the mix, they'll be interviewed. But they've already threw these people under the bus.
You've sort of written them off.
You've written them off, right.
The tenor of the statements from other city council members and the mayor suggests that none of the present candidates are really qualified to be to have that job.
And it was amazing to me because Councilman Kloufis basically said that one of the candidates, Jim Manfred, had too much baggage. But Councilman Kloufis seems to have forgotten that that was one of his picks out of the 5. He brought him forward. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what these folks are up to. I don't think it's as simple as just starting another search. I'm getting the impression that perhaps somebody has a candidate that they want to now bring forward that they didn't bring forward before. We'll see what happens. But this is
may not have applied before.
Or may not have applied before. But this is a waste of $30,000 to $40,000 of taxpayers' money. It also sends a bad message. It sends the message that City Council can't do its job, that we can't lead. Well, I'm ready to lead, but it's unfortunate the other ones are just shirking their responsibility.
And then there was I see the mayor thanked everyone for a Christmas gift that you all on the city of Palm Coast got through the city council. Yeah, absolutely. Involving the Palm Harbor Golf Course.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Well, they gave us they gave us the driving range. The developer that owned the driving range just blatantly out and out gave it to the city of Palm Coast as a gift. I'm sure it's not exactly that simple. There's probably a tax write-off thing there that goes with it, no doubt. But originally there had been plans to put condominiums on the golf course. That fell through, so they finally just relinquished the driving range, and we're going to be talking more about that with our guest today. But before we go there, there is one other thing we need to discuss, which I found the story of the week is as you know, Victor Barboza, Councilman Barboza, has dropped out of his race for county commissioner against Greg Hansen, and he's now going to go against Joe Mullins. And so Victor has some baggage concerning allegations of wrongdoing in the country of Costa Rica that came out a few months ago. Our sheriff released that information. I don't know.
Victor denies it.
Victor denies it. We don't know if he's guilty or not guilty. But Joe Mullins threw the gauntlet down to his new opponent and said that he would buy Victor 2 round-trip tickets for him and a guest to Costa Rica for the weekend with luxury accommodations if he would just go to Costa Rica, go live on Facebook, say I'm here, nobody's arrested me, no one's charged me, I'm innocent. And if he's innocent, he's got a free trip to Costa Rica, with whoever he wants to travel with on Joe's dime. And I don't understand why Victor wouldn't do it. I wish Joe would say that to me. I'd go in a second. But I think
You like Costa Rica.
I like Costa Rica, yeah. Especially when it's on Joe's money. I definitely like. I hope that includes meals too. But I want to just, I think it would be a smart thing for Victor to do this, for him to take Joe up on the offer. And I want to just sweeten the pot today. If he takes up Joe Mullins' offer, I will throw in a stretch limo to take him from the airport to the hotel, and then from the hotel back to the airport
You
again.
never offered me a stretch.
I never have even offered you a shrunk one, but I will provide that limousine service for Victor, and hopefully the local authorities don't pick him up first before he has a chance to get in the limo. But he's going to, I think he has a chance to clear his name. And Joe even said that he would probably drop out of the race if Victor cleared his name. If I was running against
Love
Mullins,
to have your opponent drop out.
yeah, you love to have your opponent drop out. So I don't know why he doesn't take it up, but he's just he's been attacking me and Joe Mullins left and right now over this.
I'm not sure I get the attacks on you because he's not running against you.
I don't know.
Maybe he thinks you'll substitute for Joe Mullins if he drops out.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't even live in the district. I don't know what he's doing, but
Well, you don't have to right now.
well, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. You don't have to live there till you get elected.
Exactly.
Actually, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I'm
That's
not.
how come Victor went from District 2, I think it was, against Greg Hansen and moved over to the current District 4, where he is not a resident, but says he has a residency he will establish.
Yes, yes. But I'll tell you, I would not run against Joe Mullins. Joe Mullins has done a fabulous job as a county commissioner. He's dealt with a lot of issues. He works really hard. He's been a big supporter of our Trump Club. Let's be honest. He's helped us out an awful lot
Yes,
in the
well,
past.
he was responsible for giving a very large donation to open the Trump office in 2020.
Yep, and he is a big supporter of President Trump and all conservative Republicans, and so I think Joe is doing a great job, and I'm kind of surprised that Victor would even run against Joe, because, Joe's doing a fabulous job. But anyway, I think now, moving on to our guests, we have Doug Brown with us today. Welcome, Doug.
Welcome. Hello.
Doug is the owner of Cypress Knoll Country Club and Golf Course.
Yes.
And he is also one of our sponsors. So we're glad to have you, Doug.
Glad to be
Thank
here.
you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
what's new with Doug?
Well, the golf course at Cypress Knoll is doing, since the pandemic, is doing phenomenal. But not to brag, golf in general throughout the country is doing extremely well. And the reason is that people have begun to realize that being outside and getting your vitamin D or whatever it might be is a very healthy activity. And I think that has sparked it. So when we first started the pandemic, that was back in March, I believe it was, when it started to hit. Palm Harbor closed immediately.
The city-owned golf course.
The city-owned golf course
Right.
panicked and closed.
Yeah, they closed all the parks, all the trails,
Right,
everything.
exactly.
They shut everything down,
Exactly.
but kept everyone on the payroll.
Well, yeah. Well, I couldn't let that happen to my course because I realized that this is foolish. So I called the sheriff, Staley, and I said to him, I said, look, are you gonna close me down or arrest me if I shut down? He says, absolutely not. He said, absolutely not. He said, after talking to him, he said, do me a favor. One thing I'd like you to do is to give each person their own cart, so you wouldn't have to be in the
Sure.
cart. Except, I said to him, except if they come in the same car and they're in the same household. I said, look.
Yeah.
So he agreed. And I think he was probably the first person, maybe even in the country, to come up with that idea where you have a separate cart. Brilliant idea.
Well, he's a brilliant sheriff.
Absolutely
He's
brilliant.
done a fabulous job. And before we go any further, Doug, we're going to take a break.
Yep.
So our sponsors, including you, get your commercials in, so you'll get to see your commercial. We'll be right back.
Are you twisted enough for Twisted Minds escape rooms? Then check us out at twistedminds.com and book an adventure today. You can choose between Camp Calico or the mysteries of Vanished. How about travel back in time to 1840s California and visit Digger's General Store? Or get ready, coming late spring, early summer 2021, a little bit of mayhem at Twisted Minds escape rooms in Palm Coast. Check us out at twistedminds.com or give us a call at 888-92-TWIST. We'll be waiting.
Tired of sitting at home restless? Need to exercise? Playing golf is one of the best ways to stay fit, and golf courses are one of the safest places to be. The gorgeous 18-hole Gary Player designed Cypress Knoll Golf Course is open to the public. Enjoy your game in the heart of Palm Coast, surrounded by 9 glimmering lakes and plenty of wildlife. Your safe and healthy choice is Cypress Knoll Golf, voted the most beautiful course in Flagler County. Call to book your tee time, 437-5807. That's 437-5807.
Welcome back. Cypress Knolls is a beautiful golf course, and if you haven't been out there, you really need to go visit Doug and say hello. And they have a great restaurant, they have a great bar, and like Doug was saying, like you're saying, Doug, golf is making an upswing. It's coming back, right?
Yes, big time.
Yeah.
So, and it's encouraging because we've seen over the past couple years. Before that, maybe the past 5 years, for example, Matanzas closed way before that, and the city had an awful time with that. And between developer and taxes and who owned it, who didn't own it, and all that stuff. Had a really hard time with that. And then you go down to Ormond and you saw Riverbend close recently, and then you also saw Tomoka Oaks close, and you saw Indigo Lakes close, and it all comes down to the expense of running a golf course. And so at Cypress, we've cut costs and hired great people to run the course, and we make it more of a family event, and that's how we've been able to survive. So
How'd you get in the golf business, Doug?
well, I'll give you a little story about how I got down to Palm Coast first. My father in 1974, went for a dinner in New York City, and the dinner was for people to buy lots in Florida. So as he's leaving the house, my mother said, "You better not be buying any lots in Florida. You better just, go for the dinner if you like, but you better not be dying." We got my sister, obviously, she was 10 years old at the time, and I got other people, and my father said, no, I'm only going for the free dinner. Well, later at night, he comes back in, and how wives know what their facial expressions are for men. She said, "You bought a lot, didn't you?" He says, with his tongue, he says, no, I didn't buy a lot. I bought 2. $500 a lot.
Really?
Over in the east section on 8th and Allen, over in Cypress.
500. You know what lots are going for now
lot.
over there?
100,000 or more, something.
Yes,
like that.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, so that's how we got in, and then we built on the golf course, my wife and I, and then we heard that the golf course was going under. This is 2016. Okay, they were closing up, going bankrupt, and so I said to my wife, I said, we can't let this happen. Why don't we buy the golf course? So after she cried for a half hour, because she had retired from the federal government, she finally agreed that we would make a pitch to try to save the course.
Had you ever run a golf course before?
I play golf.
You play golf? Okay.
No, I've never run a golf course before, but I have taken a lot of companies, several companies, and instead of, you know how they have companies today, people go in there and buy companies and then they strip them down and they take the money out. Well, I had the opposite. I bought companies and put them together and made them both very successful. Wow. And that's how I did it.
So you had that management experience.
So I had the management experience. I had the passion for sure. And this is my last hurrah, you know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's doing very well.
So far, it's working out. You
yeah.
haven't regretted the decision.
No, I haven't regretted the decision at all. The only thing I somewhat regret is that I'm competing against the city golf course, and the previous administration they didn't help me out at all. They matter of fact they hurt me more than they helped me, and none of the previous mayor, even though she was a golfer, never stepped foot on the golf course, never came over to me. And you say, well, she doesn't have to do that. But I'm saying, I think about it and I say, you know, according to Sam Perkovich, who's the guru of realtors in Palm Coast, as most people know, she said that houses that are on the golf course sell for between 15 and 20% more.
Sure.
Because they're on the golf course.
Yep.
And then Sam said that beyond that, he said, believe it or not, the ones across the street that are on the golf course also sell for a premium. So if you take the value of the 300 homes that are on the golf course and the 300 homes that are across from the golf course, you're looking probably, and some other houses in the east section, you're probably looking at an increased tax revenue to the city of about $1 million.
Yeah, it's important that our golf courses do well. These are great amenities that we have in Palm Coast. It's a reason for living in Florida, boating and golfing. And so we want our businesses to do well. I've never been a fan of government owning a business. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should have to compete against a government that can lose money, a government that can pay their employees more than you can afford to pay. You know, I mean, what's next? A government-owned bowling alley? Makes no sense to me. I would like to see the city sell Palm Harbor, you know, to a competitor of yours, perhaps, and that would be fine. You compete on an even
level. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Now you say the mayor, former mayor Melissa Holland, had never been out to your course. No. By the way, Melissa, I know you're watching. You always watch. I know you miss me. You are welcome to be a guest on our show anytime. Just give me a ring, Melissa. We'd love to have you. But anyway, I know that she's never went out to visit. Did any of the previous city managers ever come out?
Jim Landon actually did come out, but he came out in a very negative way. He told me that I can't put up my tent. He told me I can't do this, I can't do that, and extremely negative, and he wound up walking out on me.
What about any of the? What about the current mayor or city council?
Well, the current mayor, not yet. Of course, he's new, and I openly invite him to come out and have a nice meeting and I'll give him a tour of the course. We have bobcats running around out there. We have turkeys and every kind of animal possible out there, and he can see what it's really about. And all he has to do is look at Grand Reserve, and then where they're putting in, over in Bunnell, they're putting in multitude of houses around the golf course. They stripped it out, and as a matter of fact, some of the homeowner who lived on Edith Pope on the east section, which is right on the border of the golf course, they stripped the land right down to 15 feet from his house. He called me, saying every word in the book, but he called me and thought that it was my golf course. He thought it was the Cypress golf course because they're right on the border.
Right.
So I ran over there and I walked the yard with them and I explained that this is not Cypress Knoll, that Cypress Knoll will never look like that. And I told them to move to another nicer section of the east section. So.
Yeah, and there's been a problem with that development, and I've been out there several times at the request of residents, and I dragged the previous city manager with me. We did meet with officials from the city of Bunnell. We did get the developer to agree to put in drainage because there was a drainage issue they were creating, but it was like, this is Palm Coast and this is Bunnell. You might as well be in East or West Germany with a wall. We can't tell them what to do on the other side of that line.
Right.
But the city has cooperated a bit. But I know there's some disappointment out there with the quality of homes that are going in compared to the homes that are in the east section there. So
big time. Man.
Yeah, it's a big time thing.
Yeah.
So you're extending an invitation to the mayor.
Yeah.
To come out. The new mayor, David
Since we're
Alfin.
giving away things, I'll even buy him lunch. How's that?
You'll buy him lunch?
Yes.
That's great. Well, hey, I'll come out if you buy me lunch, but I come out all the time anyway,
You do.
so I'm out there a lot.
You're one of the only officials that from day one has supported the course. And you're
Well-
looking at $1 million in tax revenue, so it behooves you to do that.
Of course.
But, obviously we've become friends through it all.
Sure.
So.
And I know we had a problem before that we dealt with the previous city manager, a couple of problems. Water was a problem, as you remember when we had that
water
drought.
was a big problem. The city ordered the wrong size pipe on East Hampton Boulevard, and little did they know that the water that the course uses comes from the lake that is on that canal. So they, waiting for the new pipe to come in, they drained it.
Yep.
And we were running out of water. We were literally 2 days from shutting down with no water.
I remember when you called me.
And I forget who it was, but some really nice guy, a smart guy, came along and fixed the problem. Thank you, Ed.
Well, Jack Howe had a bit to play in
Jack
that. Jack helped too.
You were hands-on, and you guided us through. Excuse me.
Because I hadn't even been elected yet. I was still running.
Yeah, right.
But Jack did help out. What's your website, Doug? You have a website for the golf course.
Yeah, it's Cypress Knoll Golf and Country Club.
All right, and if you just Google Cypress Knolls, you'll be able to find it.
Right.
We have a website for the Flagler Trump Club. It's flagler4trump.com, and that's what, the number 4, Mike, right?
Number 4.
Flagler4trump.com. Please visit our website. You can find out all about our Trump Club. We have turned into a political grassroots organization. We are still looking for candidates to run for office. We're looking for someone to run in your district, Doug. District number 4 for city council. If you know anyone, Doug, send them to us. If they're conservative, if they're not some left-wing liberal who wants to tax and spend us to death, then we're interested in talking to them. Because elections are fast approaching, and elections have consequences, folks. Right, Mike?
Well, you've seen that already, and there are some PACs that spend a lot of money here in Palm Coast to ensure keeping the status quo, which is not necessarily for the good of the taxpayer.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm the only one on city council to vote against that property tax increase that you all got. The other 4 voted for it. I need some help. We need to find some candidates. We definitely need a candidate from your part of town. So if you know someone that's got a little time to spare after they play golf, I mean, we could use their expertise and their skills if they want to get involved. Anyway, that's about all the time we have, Mike, unless you have something else.
Goodbye from the Flagler Trump Club, Flagler County Trump Club. And for those of you listening, I hope you have a good set of holidays. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Absolutely. Thanks, folks, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
The Future of Flagler is sponsored by the Flagler Trump Club. Our meetings are every third Monday, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Palm Coast VFW. Visit our website, flaglerfortrump.com. That's Flagler, the number 4, trump.com to learn more. Let's make America great again.